Moms who know do less so they can focus on what matters most, taking care of themselves, their families, and living their God-given purpose. Moms who know are simplifying motherhood and focusing on the little things they can do that grow to have a huge impact. You are connecting with your family, your true self, and your purpose. You are a mom who knows. Hey guys, it's Chanel. Welcome to the Moms Who Know podcast for this bonus One Little Thing episode. I'm excited to be here with you today and do just a quick episode about why it's important to find and live your purpose. So if you listen to the podcast regularly, you will recognize this theme, which I talk about in the intro every single week, that moms who know do less so they can focus on what matters most, taking care of themselves, their families, and living their God-given purpose. As I was thinking about that, back a year ago when I decided I really wanted to hone in on what the podcast was going to focus on, I knew that purpose needed to play a major role because we can go through the motions and we can do all these things, but if it doesn't have a greater meaning, if we're not working towards something, if we don't have a vision of where we want to go, we kind of miss the mark. And it's so important to have a purpose, to feel like we have purpose, and then to live with purpose every day. So the dictionary definition of purpose is the reason for which something is done or created, or for which something exists. And so when we apply that to ourselves, I want you to think about that for a minute. Well, what is my purpose? What's the reason I'm here? What's the reason I was created? And why do I exist? What am I here to do? Now, we can talk about that on a grand scale, like what's the purpose of life? What's the purpose of, the creation of the earth, all those kind of things. But what I want to talk about is your purpose specifically, because that is a really individual answer. That isn't this answer that we can kind of group for all of us and say, well, we all have this purpose. We all have different things to do. We all have different talents and skills and gifts and ways to contribute. And really honing in on those and our contribution will help us to just have so much more momentum in our lives, to just have purpose and feel like we are moving towards something, and it's exciting and it's invigorating to live that way every single day. So former Supreme Court Justice Dallin H. Oaks said this: recognize the reality that just because something is good is not a sufficient reason for doing it. The number of good things we can do far exceeds the time available to accomplish them. Some things are better than good, and these are the things that should command priority attention in our lives. I wanted to share that quote because we are surrounded with good things to do in life, but especially as moms, because added to all the good things that we can do, we also have to make choices about what we want our families and our kids to do. And so it can be really hard to kind of decide and weed out the things that don't matter as much. And that's where purpose really comes in. Our purpose tells us that while something might be good, if it's not getting us toward our greater purpose, then it's not for us. And it can allow us to kind of weed things out and let things go if they're not toward our greater purpose. So answering that one question of what is my purpose, that one answer gives you the answer to 1,000 other questions. It's so much bigger than just, oh, what is my purpose? I'm going to put it up on a plaque somewhere and never look at it or think about it again. It's not that at all. It's this idea that, okay, now that I know my purpose, there's a path in front of me and the path is clear and I know where I'm going. And when things don't really fit within that path, when they aren't getting me toward that destination, then I can say no, and I don't have to have any regrets, and I don't have to feel bad about that. For me, I want to share an experience. This has to do with the podcast. in the podcast world, and I have a lot of podcasting friends, some who have gotten really big and successful. And one of the things that some of these women have done is to really go all in on social media. And I see them on Instagram just, doing Insta stories several times a day, posting on their feeds, having these conversations, sharing about their podcast, reminding people about their podcast, bringing it back, having these conversations. And it's worked really well for them. And I see that. And I've gotten kind of off track a little bit with my purpose sometimes, thinking, oh, well, that's what works. Well, that's what I need to do. I need to go big on social media like that and make that work for me, because that's how you grow a podcast. And yet, when I take a step back, I recognize that is not my purpose. I believe that I absolutely have a God-given purpose with this podcast. It's something I have felt those nudges to do. And to me, those nudges come from God. It's a message from Him saying, hey, go and do this, go and take care of this. And for social media, that's not my thing. That's not where the space that I'm meant to thrive in and I'm meant to shine in. And when I go that way anyway, and I kind of force my own agenda, it's not the right fit, and it doesn't feel right. And it hasn't been super successful for me, because that's not my purpose and that's not where I'm supposed to be. And recognizing that is allowing me to take a little step back from social media to really be in the arena that I want to be in, that I feel more led to go towards. That's a powerful realization, because it allows me to say no to things that are good, but they're not the best and they're not in alignment with my purpose. So that's super powerful. And I think that same thing happens in our own personal lives, whether it's, we're being asked to help in school, or we're trying to do all these things, or right now with being quarantined, like we might feel like we need to go all in with homeschool, when really our job as a mom, maybe that's not it. Maybe our job is to take a step back, spend more time reading and cuddling our kids, and to feel okay with that. But we really need to tune in to our purpose to know that answer. And once we do that, we can let go of those things and feel okay about it. So I have another quote. This is from the book Essentialism by Greg McKeown. He says, when we don't have a clear sense of our goals, our aspirations, and our values, we waste time and energies on trying to look good in comparison to other people. We overvalue non-essentials, and as a result, we neglect activities that are truly essential, like spending time with our loved ones, or nurturing our spirit, or taking care of our health. And I think that that's really a great reminder, because that clear sense of our goals can help us to stop comparing. It can help us to stop looking around outside of ourselves for the answer, and instead tuning in to what feels right to us and what we're feeling really led to. But at the end of the day, we have to know our purpose. We have to get really clear on that in order to live it. We have to be clear every single day on where we're going in order to take steps to get there. There's a quote, I don't have it in front of me, but from Alice in Wonderland, where she comes to the Cheshire Cat and she asks him which way to go. And he says, well, where do you want to end up? And she says, I don't know. And he says, well, then you can go any way you want to. If you don't know, that is not how that quote goes, but it's along those lines, that if you don't know where you want to go, any path will get you there. But if you know where you want to go, then you know clearly the path you need to be on. So we get to decide how we want to live, and we get to choose if we want to live with purpose. So the reason purpose is on my mind so much right now is because I have created a summit that I am so excited to share with you. There is a link for it in the show notes if you want to click on that right now and get registered. It is free from May 14th to May 16th. You can listen to it for free on those days and get all this great information. But before I tell you too much about that, I want to tell you a little about how this summit came to be, because it really was something that, again, I just felt led to do. So last August, I went up to Utah and met with a business coach who I just admire so much. And we sat down for a whole day of just strategizing and figuring out things. And we talked about, she shared something there's a book from Oprah, and I can't remember it right now. And she interviews all these different people on this one topic. And when my coach shared this picture just came in my mind of what I needed to do. And I said, I need to have a summit, and it needs to be called the Purpose Project. And it's going to be people's experiences and stories and the way that they have found their purpose. And I want all these different people to share a range of different life experiences that will help clarify people's purpose. Now, after that, a few months after that, I met Kristen and Laura from the Progress Project and found that they had a course called Find Your Purpose. And I had already, like I said, I had already named the Purpose Project Summit in my mind. And then coincidentally, or not coincidentally, these gals have a podcast called The Progress Project, very similar in name, right? And they have a course on purpose. So one of the bonuses with the Purpose Project, so this is if you buy the all access pass, this part is not included for free. But I wanted to tell you about it because it's so good. I've mentioned it on the podcast before. They have a workbook called the Find Your Purpose Workbook, and you can work through this, answering these questions and doing a really deep dive on what your purpose is. And that exercise, the exercises in that workbook will help you so much to get that clarity on your purpose. So this weekend, the next weekend, really, May 14th through 16th, is an amazing opportunity for you guys to tune in, take notes, be a part of it, really get clear on your own purpose. I've been watching these videos slowly as they've come in, and I have been blown away. There are over 30 speakers, all women and one man, speaking, and their stories and their experiences and the things they have to teach are so powerful. I've just felt such a sense of purpose and clarity, and I'm so grateful to be bringing this to you. So without further ado, the way that you can get registered for that is go to bit.ly/Purpose Project 2020. So that's bit.ly/Purpose Project 2020. It's free May 14th through 16th. You can get all the details there. You definitely want to get signed up for this. Go and do it right now. You will not regret it. It's so good. I want for all of you listening, for myself, I want us all to live a life of purpose. When you do that, a lot of times we stress about, oh, I don't know, like, do I have motivation to do this or to do that? When you know where you're going, when you know what your purpose is, you don't have to search for motivation. You are excited to go and do this. You know where you're going. And man, all you have to do is keep on moving forward on that path that's laid out, and it's magical. So go and get registered for that. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being part of the Moms Who Know podcast. You guys are the best, and I will see you next time on Moms Who Know.